I understand how life can sometimes feel like every step forward feels like a struggle, like you're pushing against an invisible force that just won't let up. Each morning, you wake up with a spark of hope, believing that today might be different, that today could be the day your prayers are answered. But instead, it feels like you're stuck in the same cycle of pain, unanswered prayers, and endless challenges. It's enough to make anyone feel like giving up. But hold on, my friend, because there's more to this story. I want you to know that you are not alone in this feeling. We've all faced moments where it seems like the darkness is endless. But today, I want to encourage you with a truth that's more powerful than any hardship. God has a divine surprise for you, and it's coming sooner than you think. When you're caught in a season of trials, it's easy to believe the darkness will never lift. But let me tell you, God is still at work. You might find yourself crying out, "God, how much longer? How much more can I endure?" It's normal to feel weary, exhausted, and even question if God is really hearing your cries. But let me reassure you today, God not only hears you, He is actively moving on your behalf. Behind the curtain of your struggles, God is orchestrating something remarkable. Even when it seems like everything is standing still, God is moving pieces into place that you can't even imagine. He is the master planner, working in ways unseen to bring about a breakthrough that will leave you speechless. Never think for a moment that God is unaware of your pain. He sees every sleepless night, every whispered prayer, and every tear that falls. He knows the depth of your sorrow and the weight of your burdens. In Isaiah 43, God reminds us, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you." Even when it feels like the waves of life are crashing down, know that God is right beside you, steadying you, holding you above the current. He will not let you be overwhelmed. God has not turned His face away from you. He has not overlooked your cries. In fact, He is preparing a divine moment for you, a turning point that will come when you least expect it. Often, the most intense trials come right before a major victory. When it feels like everything is collapsing, know that the enemy is working overtime because he senses your blessing is near. But remember this: the closer you are to your breakthrough, the harder the enemy fights to make you quit. Don't let him win. My dear friends, this is not the time to give up. You are closer than you think to a new dawn. Psalm 35 tells us, "Weeping may last through the night, but joy comes in the morning." Your current season of pain and hardship is temporary. Beyond this storm lies a joy that only God can bring. A joy that will overshadow every tear and every struggle. And this joy, it will surprise you beyond what you can fathom. God's timing is always perfect, even when it feels delayed. We may desire immediate relief, but God knows the precise moment to shift things in our favor. And when He does, it will surpass all that you have prayed for. You will stand in awe at how God transforms your situation. You will see that every challenge was a stepping stone to something greater. But to experience this, we must embrace a powerful truth: endurance. It's easy to feel strong when the storm first begins, but as it lingers, our strength can wane. When we first face trials, we might declare, "I can handle this. I'm strong." But as days turn into weeks and weeks into months, the weariness begins to set in. We might start questioning our ability to keep going. But listen carefully. The power is in your perseverance. The longer you hold on, the closer you are to your divine breakthrough. The enemy's primary tactic is to crush your spirit before you see what God has in store for you. He knows that if he can convince you to surrender, you'll never reach the blessing that is just around the corner. Endurance doesn't mean you won't feel tired or overwhelmed. It doesn't mean you won't have moments when you question God and ask, "Why is this happening?" Endurance is about trusting God, even when the path is unclear. It's about holding on to the truth that His plans are far bigger and more beautiful than the pain you're enduring right now. Always remember, God's timing is not our timing, but His timing is perfect. We might say, "I've been enduring this for so long. When will things change?" But what we don't often see is how close we are to the finish line. Like a runner who is exhausted, feeling like they can't take another step. That's usually when the end is just ahead. If you stop now, you may never see what God has been preparing for you. Endurance has a purpose. Every tear you've shed, every prayer whispered in the darkest hours, every moment you chose to stand firm when everything in you wanted to quit, God has witnessed it all. He is preparing to turn your endurance into a testimony that will astonish you. Galatians 6:9 encourages us. "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the right time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Did you catch that? If we do not give up. That's the key. Your breakthrough, your miracle, is linked to your ability to persevere a little longer. The harvest is coming, and your season of reaping is on the way. You've been sowing seeds of faith, hope, and perseverance. Soon, you will see the fruits of all you've sown. Think of the surprises God is planning for you. Imagine the doors He's about to open, doors that you never even knew existed. Imagine the blessings that are about to overflow into your life. That's what's on the horizon if you just keep holding on. I know it's hard to keep going. I know it feels exhausting to endure when nothing seems to change. But listen closely. God is about to surprise you. Your hardship will not be wasted. Every tear, every restless night, every prayer uttered in desperation, they are all part of a greater story. God is weaving. Keep holding on, for God is faithful. He will honor your perseverance. And when He does, it will be more than you could have ever asked for or imagined. God doesn't leave us without signs. He often provides glimpses that show us we are on the brink of the blessing He has promised. In seasons of hardship, it can be difficult to see the silver lining, but always remember, the fiercest battles often come just before the most significant victories. That pressure you feel, the weight you're carrying, it's a sign that God is about to move. What are the signs that God is preparing a breakthrough for you? One sign is when you feel greater opposition than ever before. When circumstances seem to spiral downward, it's often an indicator that the enemy is trying to hinder what God is about to release in your life. You may notice that challenges are mounting, and it feels like everything is falling apart simultaneously. But take courage. This is a clear sign that the enemy is intimidated by what God is about to do in your life. He senses that your breakthrough is near, so he distracts you with fear and doubt. But don't be swayed. Hold on even more tightly, because your blessing is nearer than you think. Another sign is when you begin to lose things you thought were essential. Sometimes, just before God blesses us with something new, He removes what no longer serves His purpose in our lives. Maybe you've lost a job, a friendship, or something you thought was vital to your happiness. I know it feels painful and unfair, but this loss might be God clearing the path for something far greater. He's removing what's hindering you so that He can lead you into a new season of abundance. Trust that even when it feels like you're losing, God is setting you up for a major victory. Another sign is when you feel an unexpected peace in the midst of chaos. This peace doesn't come from your surroundings. It comes from God. It's that deep, unexplainable calm when everything around you is falling apart. A stillness that reassures you that God is in control and that your breakthrough is near. When you notice these signs, when opposition intensifies, when unexpected shifts happen, when peace settles in, know that God's surprise is just around the corner. The breakthrough is close. You may not know the exact moment or method, but trust that God is always faithful. He is not slow in fulfilling His promises, and He is preparing to reward your perseverance with a blessing that will leave you in awe. Now, let me speak directly to those wrestling with doubt. It's okay. Doubt is a part of the human experience. When you've been weathering the storm for so long, When your prayers seem unanswered, doubt can creep in. You might wonder, is God really going to come through for me? Am I holding on for nothing? Let me remind you today, your faith is your most powerful weapon in this season. Even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart, even when doubt tries to pull you down, hold on to your faith. Your faith will guide you through the darkest valleys to the mountaintop of breakthrough. The enemy's goal is to make you give up. He knows that if he can make you doubt, he can weaken your belief in God's promises. And once you stop believing, you'll stop praying, stop fighting, and stop expecting a breakthrough. That's exactly where the enemy wants you, but don't let him win. Cling to your faith, even when it doesn't seem logical. Faith isn't about never having questions. Faith doesn't mean never experiencing moments of weakness. Faith is choosing to trust that God is still at work, even when it feels like nothing is happening. It's believing that God's promise will come to pass, even when the circumstances look impossible. You may not see a way out, but faith tells you that God will make a way. You may not understand why things are happening, but faith reminds you that God is sovereign. Faith is believing that God's plan is good, even when life feels hard. If your breakthrough were already here, faith wouldn't be necessary. Faith is what you cling to when the answers are still on the way, when the miracle hasn't shown up yet. Faith is trusting that God is moving, even when all is silent. So, I encourage you to build up that faith. Yes, it's challenging when you're weary and have been waiting so long. But faith, like a muscle, grows stronger the more you use it. And right now, in the middle of your hardship, is the perfect opportunity to strengthen your faith. How do you do that? Begin by reminding yourself of who God is. He is a promise keeper, a miracle worker, a loving Father who turns all things for our good. Reflecting on God's past faithfulness gives us the courage to trust Him for the future. If He has delivered you before, He will surely do it again. Another way to build your faith is to speak life into your circumstances. Often, doubt feels overwhelming because we dwell on the negative. We say things like, "Nothing will ever change," or "I'm too tired to keep going." But remember, your words hold power. Start declaring, "My breakthrough is near," or "God is fighting for me." Even if you don't feel it yet, speak it into existence. Your faith will grow as you speak God's truth over your situation. I know some of you are barely holding on. You're exhausted from praying, fighting, and believing. But take heart. It's often when we're at our weakest that God's power is revealed the most. Keep pressing on, because your breakthrough is right around the corner. You might be at the point where you're starting to wonder if all this holding on is really worth it. Let me assure you right now, it is always worth it to keep holding on to your faith. Don't let the enemy plant seeds of doubt in your heart or make you believe it's all for nothing. Your breakthrough is closer than you think, and it's your faith that will sustain you until that moment arrives. Remember what it says in Romans 8:24-25. For in this hope we were saved. But hope that is seen is no hope at all. Who hopes for what they already have? But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently. Your faith is the confidence that even though you can't see it yet, God is already working in your favor. 2 Corinthians 5:7 reminds us, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." Your breakthrough is coming, and that hope, that assurance, is what gives you the strength to press on. Hold firmly to that faith, because it is the key to unlocking the incredible promises God has in store for you. Dear friends, if you're feeling like this message hasn't fully quenched the thirst of your soul, know that God is still speaking, and He has more for you. Don't rush away just yet. Stay with us and listen to the next prayer. Each message carries a new revelation, a fresh word of encouragement, and a deeper touch from God that might be exactly what your spirit needs right now. So, I invite you to dive into the next playlist of prayers and allow God to continue His work in you. Remember, sometimes it's the next step that brings the breakthrough. If this prayer has touched your heart and resonated with your spirit, we humbly ask you to share this message, like this video, and subscribe to our channel to help us reach more souls in need of God's encouragement. And if you are standing in faith for your breakthrough, type the word breakthrough in the comments. Let's declare it together and watch as God moves powerfully in our lives. Keep strong in faith